Today we're talking about dieting down for special events, anniversaries, weddings, vacations, stuff like that. Because of yesterday's scope and the general chat that I do most of the time where I'm talking about how you shouldn't really do a lot of quick fixes, or I'm talking about the diets where you lose a lot of weight really fast. Talk about things that are marginal gains where, you know, they're touted as like these huge things, and there's all these trends in the industry that are really only intended for the people that are like at their vanity weight stage, is what I call it. Vanity weight meaning like the last 5 pounds, or like you have a 4-pack and you're trying to get 6 type thing. And so a lot of times I'll reiterate the fact that you shouldn't really be diving deep into some of those things, like you know, fasted cardio and intermittent fasting and super low carb, or a lot of detoxes, things like that for weight loss. And hey, Julia, I didn't see you pop in. And so a lot of times I will recommend against those. And then like the scope that I did yesterday was about it was called Power Souping Diet, which had a 3-day detox, and it talked about some of those things too, you know, where you lose like 3 pounds in 3 days, whatever. So am I not a fan of fasted cardio? I think there's a time and a place for most things, but typically people, like a person that has maybe like 100 pounds to lose, maybe 50 pounds to lose, a lot of those things, like I say, they're intended for, like, they're your last resort. There's a slew of things that you should be trying before you jump into that, because they're intended for kind of temporary results, and they're intended to kind of push you over the finish line. So a lot of times, a lot of the things that you hear about in the industry, they aren't even really necessary in the beginning of your journey, and some people can go their entire journey and not need them. So it's really putting things into play before their time is not really recommended, because then you just run out of things and you don't. I like to say, always have another trick up your sleeve or have a trump card to play. And if you don't have that because you played it too early when it wasn't necessary, then it kind of messes up, you know, when you get to that point where you do need it. So I don't recommend pulling out all your tricks right up front. I recommend doing one thing, and then when that thing stops, you hit a plateau, because there's always going to be these plateaus. Every time you hit a plateau, then you add on the next thing, and you habit layer, you habit stack, and you just add more things to keep the momentum going, instead of dumping it all out, doing everything and not really knowing which thing works, and then you have like nothing else to do. Yeah, don't show your hands. So like, just, you know, wait it out, and don't. There's one. I told you my alerts would come. They always do. And now my orientation has switched. So when we're talking about, so with that being said, a lot of times people want to know, okay, so then when is it okay? Or like if I say, like, you know, you may only get 5 pounds loss out of that trick, or it may only work for a couple weeks before you plateau, then people want to know, okay, so then when is it okay to use it? Can I use this, you know, like if I want to diet down for something specific, like I have my anniversary trip coming up, or I have I want to fit into my wedding dress, or, you know, a vacation or something like that. And people want to know, is it okay to kind of pull it out for that event? Like, even if I know that I'm only going to lose, you know, 5 to 10 pounds or something like that, like when is it okay? And what do you do when, you know, you have this approaching deadline and you're like, okay, I really need to get this weight off like yesterday. So basically what I usually do in this scenario is I flip it back on you, because you need to make an informed decision before you go any route. So in the instance of using some of these vanity weight loss tactics, using something that maybe you know is only going to strip off maybe 5 pounds at the most before it starts to kind of backfire on you, ask yourself, are you truly at a point where all you need to lose is 5 pounds? Or are you kind of thinking like, well, I'll probably look a little bit better if I could lose at least 5 pounds? Like, is that what we're deciding here? Like, are you truly at the vanity weight loss stage? Do you have your 4-pack and you want the 2? Or do you still have a keg and you're just like, you know, I don't care if it's only 5 pounds. I'm willing to do it because I would just like to be 5 pounds lighter for this event. If that's the case, are you also looking at the fact that, is it worth it to you to lose that 5 pounds? Say you know, 2 weeks, you lose this 5 pounds, or 1 week or whatever, you lose the 5 pounds. Your vacation or whatever this event is lasts anywhere from, like in the case of a wedding or a reunion or something like that, lasts from 1 day to maybe 10 days. Say you're going on like a full-blown vacation, but because of that, you gain back 15. Is that okay with you? That's a question that only you can answer. Is it okay that, okay, I lose this 5 to look however I want to look for this one-time event, but then I'm spending the rest of the year trying to re-lose it? That's a real thing, and a lot of people don't realize that. So even the person that's doing it the right way, sometimes they'll kind of start going down that route. Maybe they're doing it right, and then something is like really approaching, and they're like, okay, so I want to lose this really quick for this thing, and then I'll go back to doing things right. What you have to remember that we teach all the time with Eat More to Weigh Less is that dieting primes you for fat gain. So it's not about if. Most of us, even when we get to our goal weight, will bounce back about between 3 to 5 pounds. So a lot of times you have to go even below where you want to be just to bounce back to where you truly want to be. So that's something that you need to think about in the case of this rebound weight gain that you will go through. If you lose that 5 pounds for vacation, but you gain back 10 to 15 because you're so primed, your body is primed for that. Like, how much, hey Jen, are you planning on relaxing when you're on vacation? Are you planning on, like, I'm gonna lose this 5 pounds so that I can look good in my bikini, but then once you get to your vacation or whatever it is, are you planning on relaxing and just like kind of eating whatever? If you are, again, your body is primed for fat gain. So even if you look wonderful, if you come back from the vacation 5 pounds heavier, 10 pounds heavier, you just added to your journey. You have to ask yourself, are you okay with that? Even though it seems like it won't really happen, it's really not a matter of if, but when. Okay, so ask yourself, are you really at a point where you're at the last 5 pounds? Are you really at the vanity weight stage? If you are, then maybe it's time for you to move into one of those tactics, especially if you've exhausted all the other avenues, then maybe it's time to move into that. Are you just trying to lose that 5 just because, like, you know, I have 25, but at least if I can get through this 5, then I'll look better than I do now? You just may have to ask yourself, is that worth it for you? Because if you have 25 to lose and then end up having 35 or 40 to lose, that may not be worth it, no matter how good you look in the vacation pictures. But maybe it is to you. It's different for everybody. So if you're willing to gain that, then go for it. If you're willing to maybe only look that way for the first day or 2 of the vacation, but by day 10 have actually put on a few pounds or be more bloated, because you have to think about things like that. If you're losing the weight from removing things from your diet, like carbs and gluten and things like that, if you're losing the weight from removing some of those things from your diet, then you have to understand that when you go to add them back in, your body's probably going to have a reaction. Thanks, Julia. Your body's probably going to have a reaction. So a lot of times, maybe a person will remove for their, like, when you're at the vanity weight stage, like a lot of times competitors, people like that use that, people that are going to be on stage for a fitness event, they will remove dairy, wheat, gluten, bread, all these things because it debloats you. So it makes you look like really good for that event. But then when you add it back in, like the bloat and the digestion issues are off the chain. That's something you got to be willing to deal with, because a lot of times we want to relax on our vacation. We want to be able to, like, get there and eat a certain way. And the reaction that your body's going to have to that, you either have to be at a point where you're going to keep eating that way through the vacation and then maybe slowly reintroduce it afterwards, or you're going to deal with the digestive issues and the bloating and things like that while you're on vacation. So that's something you have to decide. Is it worth that trade-off to you? Have I heard of the body coach in UK, Joe Wicks? No, I have not. I will look into it though, but no, I haven't heard that. So something that you may want to consider is, if you're doing it with Eat More to Weigh Less, we typically are recommending that you're eating in your deficit like 4 weeks and then you eat at maintenance for a week, and then you eat a deficit for weeks, and then maintenance. How long of a mini cut would you suggest? So like you could plan if you're doing it, the eat more to weigh less way, if you're taking regular diet breaks, you could plan a vacation around that diet break and maybe be in a situation where at least you can have a little bit more relaxed eating, because sometimes you're almost better off dieting through the vacation in a more flexible way than dieting for the event, stopping your diet, because that's the thing, is when you're dieting, you're coming to a stop at a certain point. So if your event starts here and you diet up to here and then you just start eating normal here, this is when the weight gain starts. So you're better off staying as consistent as possible throughout that time, especially if you want to stay looking that way. The best case scenario would be to try to be where you want to be already by vacation. So it's not waiting to the last minute. I know that's easier said than done, and that's the reason why I'm doing something like this now, because a lot of us look at crunch time as like the week before or 2 weeks before an event, but you have to start seeing it as a year-round thing. So trying to get to where you want to be by that event is going to be your best case scenario. If not, going shopping is your second best case scenario. Be where you need to be in time for the event, or go shopping to look as best as you possibly can for the event right where you are, so that you don't mentally kick things into gear in a way that causes you to have to pay for it later. So you don't want to have to pay the price for that, 5-pound weight loss for the rest of the year. You'd be better off sticking to what you're already doing, like start now doing it right, and be losing consistently 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week. That is more realistic. If you're losing along those lines and you're keeping fat loss, then you can just keep on cruising right on through your vacation, and you can actually just get clothes that work for then, because don't make yourself pay 2 vacations from now for this vacation because you chose to go overboard, because you chose to do something super extreme. So you want to make sure that you're not picking extremes. As much as possible, try to be where you already want to be, or already be living in a flexible enough lifestyle so that it doesn't throw you off. When I go on vacation, I tend to eat all kinds of stuff, but at the same time, every meal is not a buffet. Every meal is not a free-for-all. So I have certain things that I'll have in between times. I'll still have my like shakes or bars or something like that with me because I'm on vacation and who knows what there is everywhere. And then I pick which meals I want to actually indulge in. But I've stopped dieting down for events. So unless that's something that you're getting like paid for, like you're a fitness competitor or something like that, I don't recommend doing it. I recommend already living the lifestyle that allows you to go on vacations or have weekends or nights where you want to kind of indulge a little bit, but not that free-for-all thing. Because when you're living that diet mentality, when you're dieting for an event, again, you're coming to that conclusion of like, I'm going to diet until I get to here and then I'm going to relax. And then you're going to have gained so much more weight. That's why often people come back from their vacations or their honeymoons or something like that and they look worse. Even if it's not right away, it's within a week or 2 afterwards, like they start noticing the compound effect of how fast your body gains fat after that. Because again, when you diet, especially extreme diet or detox, or you incorporate some of these quicker fixes, these vanity weight loss tactics, your body is more primed than ever for fat gain, because often your deficit is more extreme than usual. You don't want your deficit, like the amount of calories that you've lowered, to be so extreme that when you eat at maintenance level or above, you balloon up. And that's what's happening with a lot, because a lot of time with the detoxes and things that allow you to do like 3 pounds in 3 days or 5 pounds in 3 days or whatever it is, most of those have you eating like 800 to 100 calories. Or again, when you're adding in a lot of extra fasted cardio, maybe intermittent fasting or something like that, oftentimes that's slashing your calories so low that you don't realize that you're really, really in a very low calorie deficit. So the minute that you eat more, you have a food baby. So I don't know if that helps you guys to kind of understand how to decide for yourself what to do in those situations. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer it. Hey, and if I didn't get to your question, you can always tweet me at EM2WL And this applies to yesterday's scope as well. So I think that's still up. You can probably still catch it if you're kind of wondering, like, along the lines of what I'm talking about in that situation. But when it comes to dieting down for an event, if you're not where you want to be or close to where you want to be already, then you really want to think twice about incorporating some of those tactics. Even though you may be at what you think is your finish line, if you're not at what your body's actual finish line is, then you're looking at gaining back most of that weight and then some. So again, you may lose the 5 and then gain 10 to 15. And that's just something that you have to know where you sit and if that's something that you want to deal with. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and let you guys get back to your day. Because like I said, I know I'm earlier than usual. So a lot of you are probably in the middle of your work day, or if you're on the West Coast, you may be just waking up. So I will let you guys go and I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to come on about 3 to 4 days per week. We'll see. No promises. But if you are new to the Eat More to Weigh Less lifestyle, again, you can click the link in my bio by the little guy. I don't know if he's there. He might be there. I don't know. But you click him and there's a link where you can sign up to get the free quick start guide. And it'll break down the process of Eat More to Weigh Less. And like I say, if you're following that and you don't add in the quick fixes when it comes time for the special event, you can typically float right on through your vacations and not even gain weight. And that's where you want to be. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you everybody for joining.